Hello, EngAGE conference. I'm Zayna. I'm looking forward to sharing with you a bit of some thoughts about the future of aging in the context of aging in place. So I'll be using the book we published in February 2020, The Future of Aging, to just share some insights that might inform some of the thinking that's going on in your conference. And I look forward to speaking about this further in the Q&A. So just a bit of context, I'm a future strategist, so kind of an in-house applied futurist with St. Elizabeth Healthcare. We are in largely the home healthcare space, a national social enterprise across Canada, working from BC all the way through to Quebec and a little bit in East Coast. But one area that we are increasingly bringing our expertise to is seniors living, so including Points West Living in Alberta, where we deliver a lot of the care, 100% in the Eden philosophy. So really excited to see where Eden and Eden Care goes next. Look, we've been at this for 112 years, and about 85% of the 20,000 or so care encounters we have every day are with older adults. And we realize, as a social enterprise where our mission is to spread and bring hope and happiness to help people live and age well in the home of their choice. And really, I think that's what aging in place is. We needed to think a lot more broadly about where our clients' lives are heading and where aging is heading, so we can make sure we use our platform in the most effective way. And that might not only be through care. And so the Future of Aging book gave us a chance to look a lot more broadly about what aging is and where it's going, so we can design the right services, products, policies to help meet aging Canadians where they're going. So that was the context for this book. As we all know, aging is a universal experience. It affects how we relate to really everything in our life, whether that's services or products, each other, our relationships, our communities, and of course, policy. And when we're approaching a point where 1 in every 5 Canadians will soon be over 65, this has never been experienced really in the history of our species. For people to make it alive this long and stay alive for 8,000 or more days after turning 65. And so really very little in society, including our social constructs, is ready for this. And that's what we wanted to start to understand is, where's this going? And so the book is organized around these 5 chapters. And we didn't top down say, okay, we're going to talk about, community and housing and healthcare and tech. Rather, we did a lot of research for probably 2 years, looked at 350 or so signals from around the world of what's different about aging, all aspects of aging, and then we let the data come back and organize itself into the themes that emerged. And the 5 themes are the 5 chapters of the book, and I'll just go through a helicopter ride through the book just to start to set really a normative scenario for what you're doing at this conference and in all of your work to make sure you're designing for the future instead of protecting the past. And we really love to protect the past in healthcare and certainly in aging care. And I think those days are over. So the first, one of the chapters, I'll start with chapter 5, was really all about the identity of aging. This has got themes around ageism really emerging as a major gap in society. And I think COVID accelerated that. But, and even just things like imagery of older adults, looking like this on the left, to, some new emerging imagery that is really around the aspiration people have for what aging means for them. And so that was what was reflected in this chapter, and we collected signals like this, halftime dance troupe for the Washington Wizards, which is an NBA team, where these are not, 18-year-olds with very little clothing. The minimum age, I believe, is 50 to be part of Wisdom. And they get just as much attention as, the old kind of model of halftime show entertainment. Things like, the largest international bike race being for older adults, particularly with dementia and living in often residential facilities. So this gentleman is just, on a bike of his choice, but this company, Motiview out of Norway, has created a visual video in the city and the region where this gentleman grew up, which is a whole motivator for engaging in the exercise. And Motiview has brought this Pedal On World Bike Tour to Canada, and we've been part of, you know, many thousands of kilometers of biking with incredible both clinical results, but also really creating athletes of people that wouldn't be the imagery you'd normally associate with them. Video gaming, so these are the silver sneakers in Germany. They show up at the video game competitions and just really spank the competition. They were video gamers, you know, many decades ago, very good with responsiveness and using tech. They have a lot of time to train. It needs a lot of discipline, and they're doing really well. So video gaming isn't really, you know, only associated with the young. Pop bands, so this pop band in Korea, the minimum age is 100. And there's like, I think 20 of them in this pop band. So, you know, these things that we would have thought, you know, would not be accessible, you know, in our identity of what it means to be old are really being shattered by a lot of these signals. Influencers on Instagram called grandfluencers. And then, you know, there's been a lot of movement around iconography and just the visual identity of aging. And I encourage you to always reject these kind of, you know, frail or deficit-oriented images, which absolutely could be the case, but that is not the dominant model, and that's not the aspiration, you know, for people. And so the Center for Aging Better in the UK has done a great job of, you know, creating in a open to anybody, age-positive icons and images to be used in your slides and your presentations, as well as age-positive photographs that don't either only show canes, wheelchairs, or people in a hospital bed where they don't have a lot of agency and control. So that kind of set the tone for this new identity and image and aspiration of what aging is. And then from there, you start to think of all of the social constructs, policies, products, services, experiences, and you start to realize they kind of need a redo. And that's what we looked at in the subsequent 4 chapters. So chapter 1 was all about the future of aging in community. So housing, built environment, urban landscape, the shift out of predetermined institutional models that are kind of a one-size-fits-all because you're optimizing for the business model of the owner of the development, to, you know, really defining your own living model on your terms. And this is a massive movement around the world, and of course COVID has accelerated it. So just a few highlights. You know, we love to look at senior living communities and villages like Priya, which has a very different brand feeling and promise of an experience and an energy. And if you go through their videos, you'll realize, you know, this is not the kinds of things we normally see. And these are just exploding. Intergenerational concepts, which, you know, have already always been around, like having, let's say, a daycare on the same site as senior care, but really some innovation of different types of amenities and programs and services and business models. Of course, housing has gotten a lot of attention of these like matching services of aging adults who want to stay in their house and they want to stay in their community, but they have too much house or they need some help. And then, you know, younger people, whether they're students who, you know, have an intergenerational learning opportunity, but a chance to also get a little bit of a break on rent or make a little bit of money. In Ontario, you know, because housing models, the policy and the zoning around those was really designed for heterosexual families that own detached houses, as if that was the norm. Well, that is totally not the norm anymore. And so, you know, 2 widowed women who want to live together and own a house really aren't allowed in the current laws. And so the Golden Girls housing bill as a private members bill was put through in 2019 just to tweak the language of who's allowed to own a house if they're not married or relatives, to allow really anybody to, if that's what they want to do. So lots of policy change that has to meet people where they're at in the 21st century for the kind of housing options they want, so that they can have a choice and not have to resort to alternatives that are currently on the market. And then just the last one I love to talk about is Papa, which can like Uber match, you know, let's call them grandkids on demand. to kind of support an older adult in whatever they need, whether that's volunteer-based or paid. And this organization in the US has just exploded through COVID, and we're trying to figure out how to get them here in Canada. Okay, a little bit on healthcare. So this is all around so much about how healthcare is designed, delivered, funded, what evidence constitutes evidence. We explored in this chapter, and I think the punchline is, whereas, our species for 99.9% of the time we've been on this earth, pretty much was alive, very healthy, very lean, and then died very suddenly. But we had a very high health span, but just a very short lifespan on the horizontal axis. And today, because of science and sanitation and lots of great things, we've really extended the lifespan. It's pretty amazing. And a couple of generations, we've extended life expectancy 3-4x, and that's expected to continue. But not if that means this decline of quality of life for many, many decades. One, nobody wants it. Two, society can't afford it. And that's not what it is. So I think the new game of healthcare and everybody around it is, how do you, get health span and lifespan curves to match? Kind of like what our ancestors did. And that's a very different framework for how do you organize health services and how do you innovate within them. And that's kind of the new movement. So that kind of affects everything. Just some examples. This is LifeSpark in the US, which can take a population that skews elderly and now kind of build like a dashboard, kind of like when you drive your car, you have a check engine light of what is going on with this population. And you'll see that medical indicators like blood pressure or heart rate, they are a part of the check engine dashboard, but that's not the whole picture. It's really a full story of fatigue and social connections. And they can quantify in real time if they play around with all those variables, maybe create something to overcome social isolation or to catch mental health a lot earlier, how much you can reduce reliance on formal healthcare services. And so this shift from medical care or health care to a new job to be done, which is life care. And that's what, every health organization that serves this population will need to pivot to, including the data that, becomes your index of health and well-being, well beyond, medical factors. Examples of, ways to reinvent models that address medical challenges but are much broader. I love what Town Square is doing. This is a nonprofit foundation in the US that provides memory care, so day programs for people with Alzheimer's. Very, very affordable, but really innovating on the science of reminiscence therapy to create, an environment that reflects the era when a lot of their customers form their most formative memories, right? That's done sometimes with smell and with music, and this is like a visual experience in this case of the 50s and 60s in this entire daycare, and they're just scaling so fast across America because there's another business model that's dead called the strip mall that nobody's going to, that they can really get good real estate, good space, and offer it at a highly affordable price. I think I paid more than this every day for my children's daycare back when they were very young. Okay, chapter 3 is about technology. So all types of technology that allows people to age in place of choice, independence, autonomy, not being a burden, and really having control and an extension of their life and their physical capabilities enabled by technology. So, the key insight from the book was around, this is not about a whole bunch of new gadgets with new chargers and new operating systems and new apps. This is using existing tools that are already common in society and then designing user experiences that address the unmet needs or the jobs to be done of the aging population. So for mobility, it's things like Wii or Connect or PlayStation. So Silver Promenade is a great example of, the physical of the motion of walking, of pointing, and then the gamification of, catching butterflies in the forest or whatever it is. Kind of like that biking example, massive engagement and physical ability by play. Same with bowling. This is the biggest bowling league league in the United States is all done in people's living rooms with a Wii controller, and highly competitive, highly skilled, forms a social community, and really, again, gives access to previously inaccessible real world experiences. That's what kind of the theme of Geron technology is. The next level will be around mobility innovation, where, every type of thing that helps expand mobility, transportation, movement, tools that we've borrowed from other industries like military can augment the labored body of an older adult and really prevent the need to have that tipping point to go to places that will help you with all your ADLs, because technology can support that. And this is just exploding. And then, of course, the final life extension technology is robots, digital companions, whether they're chat bots, voice, physical robots that either are humanoid like Pepper over here, or animal-like like Pero the seal, but really extending both social isolation challenges and covering for when humans can't be there, but also physical extension of abilities like doing your laundry or helping with a bath or helping you get out of bed or preparing food. These are a little bit clunky right now, but they're just going to get better and better, cheaper and cheaper, faster and faster. And so really in a way to augment and extend what humans can do. And sometimes these digital tools are preferred over humans because a lot of older adults don't want to be a burden on their family and their caregiver if they don't have to be. All right, and then the final chapter is about the economy of aging. So this is all about how older adults are going to make money, save money, spend their money. What they consider a legacy is not only a financial legacy, and it's just massive wealth transfer that's going to happen as the baby boomers start to enter this era and this life stage. There's a lot going on here. There's entire books written on this. And, the only thing I'll highlight is family caregivers have become an entire segment of the market to design products, services, policies, and experiences for. And so we've seen, an explosion of this, particularly in the US, starting to happen in Canada. And we even started our own family caregiver platform called ELIZ, just to wake up every day and figure out what do daughters and sons and spouses and friends of aging adults expect, need, aspire to in their role as family caregivers to help their families. And so lots going on here and lots of new opportunity that, the traditional players might not have the skill set or the capabilities for. So just to give you an example, Royal Bank of Canada this week will launch Care Easy, an app they've been working on for many years for family caregivers. And there's no money in this for the company. They're just realizing a lot of their clients, and that's many millions of Canadians who do retail banking with them, are struggling with the complexity of taking care of a loved one, whether that's how money is being spent, tasks, appointments, access to services, and we'll launch this in partnership with my team at ELIZ this week. So hopefully that sets the stage for the conference, and I look forward to having some more conversation with you on these topics soon.